So I know Angela has joined us, and Angela Wells is one of our board of directors members and active member advocate out of Edmonton, Alberta. And so Angela and I are hosting this event today around International Overdose Awareness Day. So I'll have Angela introduce herself in a minute. And my name is Jenny Howard, and I'm the program manager with Mom Stop the Harm, and I live in Victoria, BC. And so like many of you, a number of years ago, we started planning a Victoria and Overdose Awareness Day event. And Angela and I know that over the years of our involvement with Mom Stop the Harm, we've seen advocates across Canada pick this up in their community and decide to hold events in their community. So we're really pleased that you're here today to join us and to have a review of Overdose Awareness Day events that you might want to choose to plan in your community. I'm just sorry, I have a few more people. Hey, Angela, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, sure. Sorry I'm late. I couldn't find my link, which is unusual for me because I'm usually much more organized, but nice to see so many people here today. This is great. As Jennifer said, my name is Angela Wells and I'm in Edmonton, Alberta. And this will be unfortunately, the fourth Overdose Awareness Day that I will be participating in. We've learned a lot of different things along the way. Last year was a little bit challenging because of COVID, but I have a feeling that we'll be able to do a little bit more this year than we did last year. So it's good to have everyone be here today, and hopefully we'll come up with some new ideas and maybe give you some ideas as well of some of the things that we've done in previous years. So I will pass it back over to Jennifer and see where we go from here. Have you got everybody in?
I think we still have a few people joining us. But what we'd like to do to start our meeting is just to give a land acknowledgement, especially considering the recent news that's touched so many of us across Canada. It is appropriate that we especially acknowledge our First Nations communities. And so I'm going to ask Angela to do that for today.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, let's take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we all call home. We reaffirm our commitment and responsibility to care for the lands and to strengthen relationships between nations to improve our own understandings of local Indigenous peoples, their unique histories, homelands, languages, cultural practices, and spiritual beliefs. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral ceded and unceded territories of First Nations peoples, Inuit Nanangat, and the Métis homelands of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples that call these lands home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we can each in our own way move forward in a respectful and meaningful spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. And I invite you to put in chat your treaty where you are from if you'd like to do so. We'll just take a brief moment just to reflect.
Great. Thank you, Angela. Before we begin, we have a handout to share with everyone, and I'm going to put that into the chat. It's a PDF that you can download and save. And it's we're titling it IOAD Ideas Bank. So I will share that. And why isn't that sharing in the message bar? Okay, let me just attach a file. Maybe Angela, you can attach it.
I'm sorry, what, the
The
actual
handout?
file, or do you want me to share my screen?
Sorry, we're getting some fuzzy sound on your microphone.
Is that just happening now, or?
Yeah. Bear with us. We're having technical difficulties. I'm going to, there we go. So you're going to see the Ideas Bank document in the chat there, and you're welcome to download that. It's a document that we'll be reviewing, and it's got a master list of ideas that were generated from groups, Mom Stop the Harm groups across Canada that have held events, and also from the main International Overdose Awareness Day website, which is located in Australia. If you haven't visited that website, you'll see it listed at the on the last page of this document. It's a great site to explore. And if you are planning an event, you can draw lots of information from there and downloadable resources. And there is also an opportunity to register your event, and they will publicize that on their website to just promote what's going on in different countries around the world. Just to give you a sense of how it's grown, last year there were over 750 towns, cities across the globe that planned Overdose Awareness Day events. And sadly, we know the crisis is not ending anytime soon. And as more and more communities stand up in advocating for change, many more communities are honoring this global day of education and awareness. And so as we review some ideas and general tips, feel free to ask questions. I know that we have here at our meeting some coordinators of past events. I saw Sandra Tully's here joining us, who has planned and organized events in Kamloops. And so I really welcome those of you that have had events in your community that have been successful. Please feel free to put your hand up and share anything throughout this event. So in terms of planning an event, there's a number of different strategies. And of course, we keep in mind COVID has really restricted some of our events that we've done in the past. In Victoria, for example, the past 3 years, we've done quite a large event at a public downtown in a square. We've had over 300 people attend, and it's been live music, it's been a barbecue, a naloxone training information booth. But with COVID, we really had to switch gears in our planning. And so as we go into this year, we recognize that restrictions are lifting. And so it really is up to you and your comfort level, what you feel is going to work for your advocates in your community and people that might be helping you plan an activity. So I always say, whether it's a large event, whether it's a small event, it all creates a conversation and it all creates impact. And so we really appreciate whatever initiatives you do in your part of Canada are valued by all of us here at Mom Stop the Harm and to many families across Canada. So general tips to keep in mind for whatever event you may choose. Get in touch with your local government representatives and extend an invitation to them to an International Overdose Awareness Day event you may be planning. We always send out invitations to political party members in our community, MLAs, MP. It's a great way of drawing media attention to your event. Our municipality, often the municipality will offer sometimes to support your event by promoting it in the media. And even there may be grant opportunities through your municipality that you could also explore. We have, and a number of other advocates here today, often we have supporters on our elected city councils, and they can often assist in getting access to different things that might support your event. So again, whether it's media, last year we had the City of Victoria declare a proclamation for International Overdose Awareness Day. You can approach your city council. That's something that's been done by other municipalities. Our city in Victoria declared it International Overdose Awareness Day. And we also created a flag, and they did a public presentation and an announcement of the proclamation while the flag was being raised. And so those are, again, some ideas that you can approach your municipal council on. They also may support you in terms of finding a venue or an outdoor space where you could hold your event. Another tip is write a press release about your event and send it to your local media and like-minded organizations. They can be great supporters by helping advertise your event on social media. So connecting with other like-minded organizations, the food bank, churches, whatever possibilities you have to share your event information and get people on board, they can assist you in spreading the word, and that's a big help. And so again, this other tip is along the same lines. Get in touch with local service providers to tell them about your event and encourage them to invite their staff to get involved, the people they support to get involved. So groups to contact might be local counseling centers, outreach centers, your food banks, any other support agencies in your community often would be happy to partner with you in sponsoring an event. So utilize those resources to support you, sometimes in sharing costs and also in spreading the word in media. Angela or Sandra, any comments that you might want to share on that note?
I just want to say, don't get discouraged. In Alberta, it's a little bit more difficult to get municipalities and cities to help you with these kinds of things, or even other organizations. So don't get discouraged. You can still do it. You just have to be a little bit more creative. And I don't know how it is in other provinces, but we can maybe talk later with some people from Ontario. I think I saw a couple of people from Ontario here who have done overdose awareness days, so they might be able to shed a little bit more light on them.
Thanks, Angela. And I'm not quite sure what's happening with your sound, but it's really fuzzy sounding. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry
I
about
might
that.
have to log out and come back.
Okay. So just when we look at different ways of how you can acknowledge that day, you know, the whole meaning behind Overdose Awareness Day, it is a day of public awareness and education is part of it. You know, it's spreading the message that these deaths are preventable. So there's that component to Overdose Awareness Day. And it's also a day of remembrance of loved ones lost. And so you have so two parts to the event that you can focus on. And so some groups in the past have taken a more educational approach. They've hosted, for example, naloxone training events, free public naloxone training, and partnered with your local health authority to organize that. So keep that in mind when you think about what you might want to do in your community. Memorial activities can include holding candlelight vigils of remembrance, and actions of remembrance or events of remembrance can be as simple as a candle lighting ceremony where you invite families and loved ones to come down at a specific hour and light a candle, and you might have some readings or poetry or something, words of remembrance. It can be a tree planting event in your community. Other groups have hung up banners in a public location and invited the public to sign their loved one's name and write messages of remembrance on a banner. Opportunities for public speaking on Overdose Awareness Day to share what that day is all about and to educate the public are important opportunities as well. Just to note with all of you that Moms Stop the Harm will be hosting another live stream candlelight vigil on August 31st through our public Facebook site. We did that last year and we had I think it was over 2,000 views across Canada, and it went down into Washington. So we reached a large group of people who tuned in for that memorial. So we'll be doing that again. Other ideas are getting funding or raising funds to place a memorial bench on a public area near a park or a lake. Powell River did that one year. I think Kamloops has done that as well. Manitoba, I don't know if Arlene is here today. If you are.
Yeah, she is. How's my sound? Is my sound better?
It's better, thanks,
Okay,
Angela.
yeah.
Arlene has organized Adopt a Park in the province of Manitoba, and they've taken over a specific garden area and created a memorial garden. And I don't know how you did that, Arlene. Are you there to share a little bit?
Yes, I am. This is a very good time to ask your mayor in the month of August.
Yeah.
That's how it happened for us, was just doing different events with our mayor, and then just asking for that garden. My daughter is a gardener, so I asked for a very specific garden, and that's what we got. So that's another place where we will put up purple ribbons
Right.
for the month of August. We do the whole month for
Awesome.
August 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we have a bench in that garden too. And then people bring painted stones for their loved ones and they leave it in the garden.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And in terms of funding, because I think people always want to know that question, was that supported then funding wise for the bench and the park?
A family bought this particular bench for their son, and the garden was an existing garden. So this is the idea. You take an existing garden and you ask for that garden. And here's a little tip: make sure you get a garden that has water.
Okay.
Right? Just a little tip.
Right. Yeah.
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 Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Arlene.
You're welcome.
And I think, Sandra, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, sorry, I was having some difficulties there. So we did a bench as well, and we started with a fundraiser, and then we had community groups because the city was not willing to donate a bench, and so the bench is in our city park, our main park, but we fundraised for the bench.
Awesome. That's
So that's
great.
another way of doing it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great.
Jennifer, I don't know if you see the chat. Do you want me to manage the
Yes,
chat?
sure. Thank you.
Brandy's mentioning that, organizing a park cleanup as the awareness event. And I think, whatever works for your community, if that's something that you could incorporate around it, for sure, absolutely. Whatever will work in your community, the more people you can get out. And if you're all wearing, purple t-shirts, for example, or a banner explaining what you're doing, then that's just more awareness, right?
Awesome. And I see Lori Hatfield, you mentioned you ordered 400 wristbands. Those are great. They're the purple rubber wristbands, and that's from, you listed the website. So thank you for that. That's a great tip. And
the Australian dollar is actually pretty good rate right now with the Canadian. It's on par. So it's actually not too bad.
Nice.
To order them from Australia.
That's great. And Melanie, you're asking? Yep. What is SCS? A Safe Consumption Site is what that stands for. And Kareem, yes, I see your comment about lighting on public buildings. For sure, we're gonna get to that. We've got a little bit of a slideshow at the end, which I found. I lost it last night, but I found it, and it'll show some photos of what members have done across Canada. So other activities that are more around public awareness and education. These are some strategies or things that you could put in place. Just even wearing purple t-shirts that say #End Overdose t-shirts. If you look on our Mom Stop the Harm website at the store, we currently have purple t-shirts for Overdose Awareness Day listed that you can order there. You can also order them through the international website, or you can download the logo and the hashtag and create your own t-shirt if you feel you want to do that. But that's one of those things that when you're wearing a t-shirt, it starts a conversation. Someone may say, hey, what's that for? What's your t-shirt all about? And there's that one opportunity, one conversation that helps to educate people and reduce stigma. As I mentioned before, holding public naloxone training events are often really popular. And here in Victoria, we've partnered with AIDS Vancouver Island to do that. So if you have community groups like that in your area, they will often be thrilled to work with Mom Stop the Harm in promoting a free public naloxone training. Your local health authority is often really interested in that kind of thing as well. So you could host it specifically for Overdose Awareness Day. We talked about the proclamation, and we talked about getting a flag made up for Overdose Awareness Day, and you'll see a picture of one in our slideshow. So those are those are visual things that people are aware of and start to connect with Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st. Other suggestions for public awareness are speaking to your local hospital, city hall, library, or pharmacist to see if you could run a display table of resources and information for Overdose Awareness Day. And we know that, again, restrictions are lifting. Our hospital here in Victoria was all set to allow us to have a display table in the main, down where all the coffee shops were, at the entrance to the patient wing. And then COVID hit and we had to cancel that. But that may be something you might want to explore. And we've put out Mom Stop the Harm information. We've worn our purple t-shirts and anything around International Overdose Awareness Day. And local resources often want to have their brochures on your table as well. organize a food drive or some kind of giving back action in your community in honor of Overdose Awareness Day. Those are all things that the general public is often willing to get on board to help with. So whatever your needs are in your community, sleeping bag drive, we've done those here in Victoria, food drives, warm jackets, whatever might fit for you, that's another activity. Organizing a memorial fundraiser, that could be for Mom Stop the Harm, it could be for your local food bank or some like-minded organization in your community. And then, of course, we know the power of social media. And so promoting IOAD on your social media is really important. Taking a selfie of you wearing your purple t-shirt and writing something above and posting that is really great. So those are some of the public awareness and education events. I'm wondering if any other members here today have something else they'd like to share that they've done around public awareness and education. Yeah.
Maybe we can, oh, who's Sandra? Go ahead, Sandra.
So I'll just discuss what we've done. So in the
Yeah.
first year, we set up at our farmers market and we were sponsored by the local detox. So you had to be sponsored to have a table at the farmers market. So they were willing to do that. And so there we had naloxone training information. It was like 2016, our very first attempt at anything like that. The next year we did a much larger event in our park, and we did the Flags of Hope. We supplied all the supplies for that, and our mental health came on board and helped support us with the supplies for the flags. And then we had tables set up, and so people could sit and paint as a family, all the different flags. So that was really great. And we had a band at that one, and we had naloxone training. We had every kind of information that was available in our community. And then 2018 was pretty low key because there wasn't a lot of involvement from parents and we didn't have any money. Funds were 2019 is when we did the bench, and we did 2020 we did the anti-stigma pledge in our community.
Awesome.
So those are some of the things that we've done here.
And it sounds like you partnered with what group?
Well, we try to partner with whoever. I mean, the dollars are always an issue, right? Getting dollars. So if you have a cat in BC, if you have a cat team in BC, they may fund some of the events. You could reach out to them. I am also co-chair of another group which actually has no funds again, but we've been able to get grants for different things.
Great.
So we always have some money there. We've reached out to our local mental health agency. Interior Health has always been a great supporter. They'll always have street nurses available that can come and do naloxone training. We've put up we gather a group and we put up flyers, or last year we did the ribbons all down our main street. So there we gathered a group of moms and we just did them one evening up and down the street, which again is a great opportunity to stop and talk to somebody. It's the end of summer, lots of people are out, we're putting up purple ribbons, what's going on, what does this mean, that sort of thing.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Good tips.
We have a couple of questions, and I just want to elaborate on the Flags of Hope that Sandra mentioned. And the Flags of Hope is something that we started in I think it was about 2017, and a group in Calgary started it. So essentially, they're just a piece of material that I believe is 8 inches by 8 inches, very flimsy, and the story is actually from Nepal. And what they do in Nepal is they make these flags and they tie them up when they've lost a loved one, they tie them up outside and eventually they'll disintegrate. So it goes back into the earth. So it's a way of honoring a loved one. And so we did Flags of Hope in 2017 and 2018, and we have some, and it's a really great way to engage people. Like Sandra said, you can have a table, you can buy a really cheap material, the cheapest, because you want it to be flimsy, you want it to disintegrate. Cut them up 8 by 8 and simple acrylic paints. We've used Sharpies, and then all you need is to get them done, and then just to attach them onto a thread or something, a wire to hang them up on the trees. So that's a little bit on the Flags of Hope. We've also painted rocks as well, which is also a fun thing to do. And that doesn't take a lot. You just need some rocks and some paint, acrylic paint again for that. There's a couple of questions here maybe we can talk about. Melanie's asking about partnering with EMS services in our community. We in Edmonton tried to do that, but the organizing committee felt that EMS might be a little bit too triggering to have at an event like that. Many of us have had our own situations with EMS. So it's something you've got to be cautious of as well. You don't want a huge EMS or police presence there, because it can be triggering for many families who've gone through a loss like that. So you just have to be cautious. It's different. You know, I guess every event is different. So you just have to think about that. Crosses are a good idea as well. Although the other problem with crosses we find is that it becomes a religious sort of thing, and some people don't like the cross symbol. So you've got to be careful of that as well. Samantha's asking about themes. There really isn't a whole lot of theme I can think of other than the color. The color purple is what is International Overdose Awareness Day. That's the color that they use. And I think a silver as well, but mostly purple. Sponsorship, you know, that comes up. You just basically have to approach people. And I think, Samantha, you're in Alberta, right? And as I mentioned earlier, Alberta is tough to try and get sponsorship. Other provinces are easier. As you heard, Manitoba was able to get a garden. We've tried here in Edmonton various ways to try and get a garden, and we're just not getting any success. So I think it depends on your community, where you are, but don't give up, like I said. How do you become a trainer for naloxone? We don't actually, we bring in organizations in Edmonton that do the naloxone training. So it might be different again in other provinces. I think in BC you can become a trainer. Sandra, you have your hand up, right?
Yep.
So I think that's
yes, you can. You can be trained to be a trainer.
Yeah.
But also you can just, public health is always available, and you can get your kits from public health as well.
Yeah. And in Edmonton, we had an organization that came out, the organization Boyle Street that was running the supervised consumption site, came out with a table, and they did all the naloxone training. So it was a good way for them to represent their organization as well. And then they did the naloxone training, and they brought all the stuff with them. So it was easy. We didn't have to go out and get the kids and bring all that stuff. And how do you start a fundraiser without being a nonprofit organization? Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you know, our group in Edmonton, we sold some chocolates one year. And we just basically, a lot of us just put in our own money to do it. Or, you know, we bought the ribbons, or we sort of split it up and spent the money ourselves. So again, each community is different. So you might want to partner, like Jennifer said earlier, you know, she partners with an organization, is it AIDS Victoria, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have funding, and so they can also give some funding as well. So,
Yeah.
And church groups as well. I think Kathy's asking about working with local church groups. absolutely, if you can find a church group that is interested in helping out, for sure. I have tried to make ribbons myself, but they're really hard to make. And they just don't last well. I think Amazon, I bought, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 250 or 500 ribbons. It was like a huge pack for like $50. So, so it's a good $50 well spent. It really is, because it comes with a little pin as well. And I would get the one that has the pin, not the safety pin. It's, I can't remember what the name is, but it's like a little thumbtack with a thing on the back. Those are much easier than safety pins. United Way likes to be involved, Sharon said, so that's another one for sure that you can contact with. Towards the Heart Naloxone Training, Jack has posted that information there, so that's a good way to become a naloxone trainer if that's something that you'd like to do.
That's in BC.
Yeah, that's in BC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm caught up on all the questions.
Great.
Candlelight Vigil, yes, absolutely, that's a big one.
Yeah. Great. Sorry, Sandra, do you still have another?
Oh, I've got lots of information.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I, having done this for a few years, I would say make sure, like the Flags of Hope was very labor intensive for us as a cleanup. So we didn't do Sharpies. We actually used paints and stamps and that sort of thing. It was exhausting. At the end of the day, I'd spent the whole day in the park, and then I had to do this huge big cleanup of all of this. So be mindful of that for sure. I don't regret doing my Flags of Hope, but I don't, it was so exhausting. I probably won't be hosting another one. And I have used my Flags of Hope to create a banner quilt sort of thing. So that is how, because then I ended up with all these flags. So what do we do with them? So we've created a banner, and you may have that in your slideshow, a picture of the End Overdose banner that we've created. So I would just be, it's not one person can do it. There's a lot that goes into it. Get your crew together, be very mindful. Now I know I need a startup team and an end team, that sort of thing, because it is exhausting. And then you also need, when you do these kinds of things, I mean, I live in a small community, so the media always attends. So you need a point person that's going to speak to the media, and you need actually someone who's going to take photos of your event, because you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
So those are my other tips.
Yeah, very good.
Having done it a few times, that and even ribbons, like so many people, I always put up the posters that we get every year, and I put them on my door at work, but then I always get the question, where do I get a ribbon? Well, everybody needs just to get their ribbons, right? Like this is what we want you to do. Just put up purple ribbons. We're not supplying purple ribbons. We just want you to put them up.
Yeah, that's great.
And for those that can see the screen, I believe this is your
that's
banner,
one of them,
right,
yeah.
Sandra?
We had 2 of them made. The other one is behind the tree. That's our white Christmas tree.
Right.
But yeah.
And if you do Flags of Hope, I would suggest that you use, although the colors are really nice, but the white ones, if you have white fabric, you could actually use Sharpies on.
Yeah.
So, because the paint, like Sandra said, it takes time to dry. Sometimes people use too much paint, and it is a nightmare to clean up afterwards. Yeah.
So those are just, I encourage everyone to do something within their community. It's really, really important, but I'm also mindful of the effort that it takes to plan it, put it on, and take it down. And so I had an event not too long ago in our park, one of my counselors came to me and said, "Did you get a permit?" And I said, "Nope, I didn't." And that's just me. You don't have to follow that. But I said, and what I followed up with was, I didn't, but I am a really good community member. So if I'm doing an event you will know that everything will be taken down. There won't be trash on the ground. There won't be posters left behind. So that's the other thing. If you want the respect of your city council, you need to be
Yeah,
a good community
sure.
member.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my lecture.
Those are great tips, Sandra. Thank you so much, and really helpful information. I agree around the cleanup, and that's something that leads into our next area of remembrance and for IOAD is the Purple Ribbon campaign that Mom Stop the Harm has run for the last, I think we're coming up our fifth year. And really how that started was it originates from a traditional movement that mothers globally did during the war time when their sons did not come back from war. They would tie a yellow ribbon around a tree. And so we sort of adopted that tradition and started this Purple Ribbon campaign. Now it kicks off August 1st and it runs for the whole month of August and ends on August 31st, Overdose Awareness Day. And so the purple theme has really expanded not only into ribbon displays, but also our members have reached out to iconic buildings in their communities and asked them to change their lights to purple for the week leading up to Overdose Awareness Day. So you'll see some slides of buildings across Canada that lit up. You know, in BC, we had BC Place light up in purple. The CN Tower was lit up in purple. So it can be done. And it's just asking, and you might be surprised what they're willing to do. Fountains changing their lights and bridges changing their lights. Hi, Sandra. Tell us about your purple lights. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I went all through that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So I just wanted to remind you about the hospitals. So both the hospital in Kelowna and the hospital in Kamloops light their walkway from their parkade to their hospital in purple on that day for us.
Awesome.
Just
That's
they're another,
great.
yeah.
And who would thought, like, how did you even think to ask about that?
So on Addiction Matters, one of our co-chairs is part of Interior Health. So that is how that all came about. Yeah.
That's a great connection. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Neat. So anyways, anything that you can envision that can go purple that month. And just, again, we're driving home that visual presence in the community around the overdose crisis, and that more must be done. And, you know, we often talk at Mom Stop the Harm, you know, we see a day where purple will be recognized in the same way we know that September, I think October is breast cancer awareness. We know the color pink, we know what that means, we know what that ribbon means. And so looking at the buildings is one thing. So purple ribbons, we just really invite members to tie a ribbon around a tree in their yard, do a display within their own home. Many cities now have have become familiar with us, and we tie purple ribbons in the downtown core. Vancouver did a display along Burrard Street of tying shoes, which was a really powerful imagery all along Burrard Street. And they got permission by the city to do that. And they went up that day and lasted a couple days and then were taken down. So again, any brainstorming you have around that, I can't remember, Angela, maybe you remember, but there was one city back east that approached an ice cream store to see if they would create a purple ice cream for the month.
That was in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had an ice cream store and they had a purple ice cream, and for the month of August, some proceeds were donated back to I believe Overdose Awareness Manitoba, if Arlene is still on. But yeah, that was something pretty cool that they were able to do for sure.
Yeah. One of our members here in Victoria is a connection to a donut store. So she's going to see it. They create a donut with purple on it for the month of August. So yeah, so there we've
So
got.
I'm just sharing my screen just to show you, and these are Instagram photos. If you're on Instagram, you can follow us on Instagram, Mom Stop the Harm, and we try to share information. So just to give you an idea that Niagara Falls was actually turned purple last year. We also had billboards this year that Mom Stop the Harm is actually going to do again in select cities. So we're going to have billboards across Canada that will talk about overdose in, I believe, Medicine Hat. Yeah, Medicine Hat. The TP was turned purple for Overdose Awareness Day. More of the billboards. So those are a lot of things that you can do. And sometimes you just need to find the people to do it. And so that'll give you an idea there.
Sure. So that, be creative around anything purple, because that again it makes a strong visual presence. And in Victoria, many of us, and I'm sure this was experienced by others, but people really noticed our ribbons. I had friends and coworkers would see me at my job and say, "Oh, I saw the purple ribbon downtown," and we posted photos of loved ones along with the ribbons. This year in Victoria, and I'm happy to share the poster with other cities that might want to participate, but we're creating a poster that is a large poster that'll have a large pink ribbon on it, and purple ribbon. And we're going to be approaching businesses to put the poster in their window. And it will say the wording, "I'm supporting Overdose Awareness Day in remembrance of loved ones lost." So trying to get businesses on board downtown as well. So hopefully that will work for us this year. Moving along from sort of the Purple Ribbon campaign, people may choose to do something that's more loud and angry. And that's okay too. There's a place for that as well during this month of remembrance and awareness. So, whatever you feel fits for you. Other communities, and again, I'll speak for Victoria, we always stage a protest outside the Ministry of Health building 1 month prior to Overdose Awareness Day. And we've done it every year. Other years, we've done a large photo shoot. We had ambulance and firemen attend our photo shoot, and we had the media come down to capture that. And we had signage around Overdose Awareness Day. So whatever sort of protest statement you want to do, if you want to start a petition circulating, we do have that one that's up on our website right now. You could make that an initiative to work on for Overdose Awareness Month.
And that would be good timing because the Parliament won't be meeting, they'll be closing and then reopening again, I think in September. So August 31st would be a good way to get some signatures and be ready to send that petition in at the end of September when they go back into the House of Commons.
So, again, it's a great way to build partnerships with other organizations in your community, because sometimes it just takes a Mom Stop the member to rally the troops, and other organizations will really come behind you in support. So I'm seeing the question about the posters for the purple ribbon. It's just underway being created. So what I'm happy to do is I'll post something in the private members Facebook, and people can email me if they would like a copy of that for their location. So that it's sort of a summary of ideas that we've done in the past, that other groups have done, that have been successful. Again, we know that we're still going to be under some COVID restrictions, so be mindful of that for your community. But we did hold our protests last year, even with the COVID restrictions. And even in April, we had another protest, and people were just very respectful, making sure they had their masks on and were safe distance apart. And it went well. So it is doable still, even under these times that we're in. So we just, on your handout there, you're going to see some links to the International Overdose Awareness Day site. And one will lead you to resources that you can find, free downloadable resources. You can even download an event kit that they share with organizers. And you can also, there's a link here to check out the Overdose Awareness Day report from 2020. It's really a colorful report, and you can look at it and see what other cities have done around the globe. And hey, steal those ideas. If something resonates for you, then you know, the more the merrier. And again, don't forget to register your event with their site. And it's kind of neat to go on and see who else is registered around the world, and see what other activities they're planning. So are there any other questions in the chat there? I see, how do we reach, this is from Jack. How do we reach local Mom Stop Harm chapters for organizing? And I'm not, where are you located? Is that, Jack, are you still here? You're in
Victoria.
Victoria? Oh, that's where I
Oh,
am.
there you go, Jennifer. There you go. You're gonna help her.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. We need lots of helpers. Yeah. You know, maybe Angela, you could type my email in there, or I can quickly,
Sure.
sorry, just while I'm talking. And you're welcome to contact me, and we have committee meetings. And anyone else that would like to get connected to other advocates in their community, send an email to Angela and I, and we'll do our best to share your name with other advocates. And like I say, there's often one person that wants to start something, and if other members know about it, I'm sure they would be on board in support. So feel free to email us. Are there any other thoughts or suggestions or questions that you have before? We've got a little small PowerPoint to show you of pictures from previous events.
I think Melanie has her hand up. Melanie, you'll have to unmute.
Yeah, thanks. I was noticing the contrast between sort of not inviting police and EMS and fire services because it could trigger people, and on the other hand, having sort of a protest-like thing to do that. And I'm thinking that, you know, trauma is such a huge factor here. And not only we as moms, but also all of those people mentioned from those agencies are triggered on a daily basis by this. So how can we include them in the circle of support rather than let them be hung out to dry as triggers? You know, I'm really, I guess, compelled to say that, like most of us, I guess, that love and compassion do so much more than anger and violence and attempts to be negative. And that certainly wouldn't be part of what I would want to lead.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, and I think, you know, just to
inviting
add
them is a good thing to do.
just to add a comment, you know, that particular situation was in Edmonton, and we have 2 events now in Edmonton that we do. We have an afternoon event, which is more of an advocacy sort of event where we do have the politicians, and we do have firemen, police, EMS there that in the afternoon. And then the evening event is more of a memorial sort of event where it's just families and we just want to raise awareness and remember our family members, right? So that's the way that we handle it in Edmonton. So
We're not,
Sandra,
I'm
you
not,
have your hand up. Did you have any more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, for sure not ignoring a certain group of people,
Right.
but I know that they have generally, we've had police at our events and they have supported us. But there's so much more that goes into trying to get police or fire or ambulance there. It's one thing if they're on patrol and they stop by to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing to get them to be able to be almost allowed or permission to come to those events. So, I mean, it's not that we're neglecting or we're, ignoring a certain population. I always invited to our events.
the point I was trying to get to was the trauma point in which we are all harmed by that, including the authorities. And I guess I'm lucky because I get to do ours in Sylvan Lake, which is the resort town in Alberta. So they're up for everything.
Yeah.
And so we'll try and do that. And I'll be
Yeah.
reaching out for help because it's just having ideas and things like budgets or,
Yeah.
because
And
we don't have
Melanie,
much time. It's June already and we're supposed to do this in August.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm booked for holidays. Yikes.
And I know Sylvan Lake very well. It's a smaller community. And I think that, you can do something as simple as just having a candlelight vigil, and just having people tie purple ribbons in a park and have a candlelight vigil. There's a song that we use called Somebody's Someone, which we can share as well, that we've used at our event. And you can just play that song and have a candlelight vigil. I guess my point is it can be as big or as little as you want it to be. Before COVID, our event had food trucks. We had a band that was there that had lost their nephew to overdose. So he donated his services. He wanted to be there. So he played the food truck. If you can get a food truck, great. Because it doesn't cost anything. They'll just come and sell their food. As long as you can sort of say that you're going to have 250 or 300 people there to make it worth their while. So that's another good thing that you can do as well.
Thank you.
And I think, sorry, did Lori have her hand up? Lori Irvine? Did you have a question, Lori, or was it answered? No, that's okay.
I do have one question. With some of the MLAs and that you said being closed over the summer, do you know municipal, how long they're open to go in and talk to them to get proclamations?
Where are you, Julie? Where do you live?
Airdrie, Alberta.
Airdrie. Okay, so I know for Edmonton, you can do all of that stuff online and a proclamation doesn't take very long. So
okay.
You could probably get it done fairly quickly, but I mean, look at it now,
Okay.
just to make sure. Because we do have an election in the fall and some of these guys may not be doing as much work as they should be doing, right? So
yeah,
so I would get in touch with them now.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
Well, you have another question, actually.
Okay.
I believe it was Kelowna that last year that did all the pictures and hung pictures with the purple ribbons in the park, pictures of their loved ones. Now for cleanup, do most of the families come and take those pictures, or is that something you end up having to take down and find the people? How did that work?
I don't know if that was Kelowna. It might have been Winnipeg in their park. They put the pictures up with ribbons. And the way I understand it is that I think Arlene has left, but I think that they do it all month. So they leave the photos up all month. In Edmonton last year, we had, we also, I wanted to mention along the line of the shoes that Vancouver did. We collected, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was 690, under 700 pairs of shoes, which was the amount of people that we lost in Edmonton in the year 2019. And so we had 600, almost 700 pairs of shoes. And then we donated the shoes afterwards and we set them up as a display and had a photographer come and take a photo of them. And it was quite moving. And then the shoes were donated afterwards, and they actually, the organization that wanted the shoes came that evening and picked them up for us. So from us. So, you know, we do try to leave the place as clean as we can. The purple ribbons, to tell you the honest truth, some of them are actually still up a year later, and I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Anyone else before we go to the slideshow? Thank you.
I will say one more thing. Sorry, Jennifer. This is in response to Kathy's comment about the purple ribbons, and this just reminded me of it. Last year, Kathy says that local police would wear the purple ribbon. So last year in Alberta, so those of you that know Alberta and the situation that we're under right now with the UCP government, Kim Porter and I sent all of the MLAs in the province, it was close to 100, an envelope with a purple ribbon and a letter asking them to wear them. So that was something that we did. We sent to our MLAs a purple ribbon and a letter asking them to wear them.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Not many did, but we sent them.
Can you send us the copy of that letter?
Sure, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
It would be great if somebody else would take on that task and send them again to the UCP. Am I speaking to somebody from Alberta?
No, that was Sandra in BC.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was Sandra. Okay. If there's somebody in Alberta that wants to take on that task, that would be fantastic.
Nope.
But yeah.
Great. That's a great idea. Okay, well, I'll just bring up a little show of pictures here from events past that members have had. So we talked about the flag, and this is the flag that a number of the cities across Canada decided to make and ask municipalities to fly them for that week leading up to Overdose Awareness Day.
How do you get them?
Well, in Victoria, we had a flag shop.
The flag shop actually should have the actual prototype for it.
Yeah.
Because Edmonton got one from the flag shop as well.
So I can send, you know, maybe what Angela and I can do is put together some of these things people are asking for, like your letter, Angela, the contact for the flag shop, and we can send that out to people that registered.
Yeah.
The proclamation. So this is the city of Victoria. And again, it's a application form that is pretty straightforward and that you can apply, and most municipalities are on board. This is just an example of a public awareness and education booth. This is in Grand Forks last year. And so local members, you can see the naloxone kits and the brochures and the purple ribbons there.
And the purple masks, which is something that you might want to, I think some groups are thinking about getting some purple masks and selling them as well. So that could be something that you could do as well.
Naloxone training.
So this is in Edmonton. This
Oh,
is
was it?
Marlis. Yeah, this
I'm
is
so
in
sorry.
Edmonton,
Got
and
that
this
wrong.
is yeah, Marlis from the Boyle Street. So she was doing training for us that evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention, I see the back of the purple here. One family we have lost a loved one, and they all got their t-shirts, purple t-shirts, and on the back of the t-shirt they wrote Jacob's mom, Jacob's dad, Jacob's sister, Jacob's brother, Jacob's cousin. There were 35 of them, and they all had the relation to what they were on Jacob on the back. So that's a really powerful statement. Yeah.
Yeah. Just again, other examples of public awareness and.
Oh, that's my
supporting people.
son. That's my son and daughter-in-law. So this is also in Edmonton as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we had a box for donations. We were selling the purple. We sold the purple bracelets at our event. And we also had, you can't see them very well, but they're candles. So we had, that's another thing maybe we can send the link for, Jennifer. It's a light candle that is flameless. And we just ask people to bring them back every year and use them every year.
Nice.
That's a nice picture, actually. I think I might steal that one.
Mhm. Great. And that's, it looks like it's Medicine Hat there on the bottom, and they have a display of photos along with their banner. There's the t-shirts, yeah, that you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's my daughter, my Zoe, that in the photo.
Yeah. So very powerful. I mean, these kind of symbolic things really do create compassionate communities. People see the real faces of loved ones, and it could be their loved one, and that's what breaks down stigma around this.
And there's that family that I was talking about earlier that had all their names in the back. So Jacob's niece, nephew. And if you'll notice, one of the things that we did in the park was we just put twine between trees, and we asked people to bring a photo of their loved one. And we had clothespins that were colored in purple. We had a very, very eager mom who spray painted all these clothespins purple. And we just asked people to bring photos down, and then we had them pinned on the twine. This was a good way for us not to have to clean up, because everybody was responsible of taking their own photos back. So going back to what Sandra was saying about the cleanup after, everybody was responsible to come and take their photo, and they're not going to leave a photo behind. They're going to take their photos back. So.
And then memorial photos. And of course, many of you have seen the cross photos. That's another thing. If your community hasn't organized anything like that with local members, they're pretty powerful images as well. This is the visual impact. Again, Vancouver did this, tying shoes on Burrard Street Bridge last year with messages.
And visual impacts are really important, especially with social media. And they last forever. You know, they're always going to be there. And especially something like this that had an article attached. There was several articles attached to it, actually. So that will always be there. So it's very powerful.
And then we talked about lighting up the town. So here's the Parliament buildings, got on board, which was awesome in Victoria. The CN Tower again was part of that day. The Robert Bateman Center is on the top right, and everywhere from a member sharing a photo of their purple light outside their house. And this is High Level Bridge.
This is the high level bridge in Edmonton that we light up purple for that day. Yeah.
And Piikani Nation lights up. It's beautiful, that structure. In Kelowna, light up. So it can be done. Sometimes it's just asking. And I'm not sure where this building is, Angela.
That I don't know. That one I don't know. It could be Winnipeg.
And then for the Purple Ribbon campaign, and I think Sandra, you guys managed to get a full page ad about this. I think it was you guys in Kamloops, which was amazing. So we'll be redoing that poster and sending it out again. This is Victoria tying ribbons downtown. Other ways of, again, more visual displays. The wristbands that Angela was talking about there that you can order. People get really creative. It's neat to see. And it's growing. Every year it grows. Purple hearts.
This was cool. Yeah, I think this was in Kamloops as well. I think this was Sandra.
Yeah. And then here's just an example of giving back to the community, doing something to support those that are struggling. And this was in Vancouver. I believe they tied bags of food along one section. This is the example of the digital billboard signs that may be going up in different cities across Canada. And this is our protest in Victoria. That was again during COVID, but we made it work, and it was really well attended. We straddled both sides of the street and had a lot of noisemakers outside the Ministry of Health building. And then the vigil, this is the Candlelight Vigil that was live streamed last year. It could be this, but it could be something even as simple as gathering at a park at a specific hour.
And if you haven't had a chance to watch the vigil, it is available on our YouTube channel. So maybe we can share that link as well.
Okay.
If you go to YouTube and just search Mom Stop the Harm, you should be able to find our channel.
And again, just the message, know that whatever event you host, large or small, that you're making a difference. And it's valued by families. And I'm always just, again, a big believer, even if you have one conversation with someone and you help them change their perspective, that has value. Doesn't have to be a big event. Here's a group that gathered. And this was just a sample of a photo shoot that we did 1 month prior to Overdose Awareness Day in Victoria. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that comes to a close, our little info session on International Overdose Awareness Day. Any final thoughts or ideas that you might have for your community?